I suck at doing videos. Absolutely suck at doing videos. It's a fact. For anyone who follows this channel, they come very few and far between these days, and the ones that do end up being put out are very lackluster. But there's a particular reason why this is a thing. It's something that a lot of us do suffer from, and it's something that I'm constantly trying to change. Boy, does it kill its own motivation in trying to change itself. I'll explain more after this. So for those who are in the hobby for a long time or even a short time, there are going to be times where you're trotting along in your hobby, you're getting really good momentum, and then for one reason or another, you just down the paintbrush and that's it. You just lose all hobby mojo. Like, just your own momentum is just gone. This could be burnout. This could be because you got to a particular bit in a project that is a bit tricky and you just want to take a breather. Or it could be many different reasons. But for some of us, it can be a bit more than that. And this is where we introduce the classic procrastinator. That's so bad. So I am a self-confessed serial procrastinator. I've got to make sure I pronunciate there. Now, I don't know why, but for the longest time that I can remember, I've always been a procrastinator. I always do last minute rushes to a deadline, and if there isn't particularly a deadline, I'll do anything and everything I can to just put that thing off. It could be chores, it could be back at school when I was doing homework or coursework, and it could be projects and videos. Now, I've done videos before. I used to start trying them out and I was getting really good at it in terms of, getting them out on a regular basis, and then I hit burnout after burnout and I just could not keep up that momentum. So I started to try and find different ways to get around it. Talking to friends online, trying to have different approaches to how I do my projects, do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, change things up, do different colors, different techniques, build things, because I actually do prefer to build the stuff rather than paint it, even though when I start painting I kind of get really into it. But yeah, I think part of that is just because when you build something, you got a more immediate endorphin rush. I've completed something, yay, gold star for me. Whereas when you paint something, it can take a lot longer, so that little payoff is sort of delayed. And when it is eventually finished, the payoff is great, but you can be a bit too critical on yourself at times as well, and then you end up not finishing it or thinking, no, that's not finished, so therefore I'm going to put it to the side and never finish it, for fear that I will end up saying that it's done and it's just not being good enough. I know. So what do you do when you're like this? Well, I'm fortunate enough that I do have people that I can talk to who have been in the hobby a long time, longer than my 20 plus years in the hobby. There are people who've just recently joined the hobby as well that I can also talk to, and getting all these different perspectives on how they get around burnout and procrastinating and stuff like that is a great source of insight, until I procrastinate about talking to them about it. It kind of defeats itself, really, when you gotta do something to combat your procrastination, but you procrastinate about dealing with procrastination. I also am very lucky to have a decent Discord. It's not a brilliant Discord because I haven't got all the bells and whistles, but it's got an amazing little community in there full of fantastic people from a whole spectrum of the hobby, and there are some gems in there who are absolutely great at getting that foot up your butt to give you a bit of motivation to get going. And one of the things that we started doing earlier this year was doing a monthly challenge. So every month we set a different theme. Sometimes we let the people in the Discord vote on something, and sometimes myself and the mod team will come up with a different idea just to mix it up. And I found myself more often than not trying to have a go at it as well. And that's a great palate cleanser. It really sort of gets my hobby mojo going. And as a result, I've got some things done that I've wanted to do for a long time but just kept putting off. And then of course, every week I have my live show, and on that show we do our community corner. So this is where you get to show off all your work in progress, all your finished stuff, and it's a nice 20-minute segment of the show where we get to show off all your stuff, and I really do get a lot of inspiration from it, and that can be very awesome. But it can also be another avenue into procrastination. Getting project paralysis really does not help the situation. When you're trying so hard to focus on just the one thing, but you got so many great ideas just rattling around in your head. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this technique, but I want to paint like that, I want to try these paints, but I want to try those miniatures. You end up frozen and you don't know where to start. And the most common bit of advice that is given is just pick something small and start there and see where you end up. But in a really silly way that procrastination can work sometimes, you think, okay, let's pick something, just a small thing to start. Okay, which thing do I pick then? Because I've got a few small things I can start with. Well, which one's going to be the easiest? Well, actually, they're all going to be about the same, right? So I've got to pick one to start with, but there are a few of them. Okay, where do I start? I've got to pick one. There's a few of them. So where do I start? I've got to pick one. Where do I start? I've got to pick one. You end up in a logic loop, a death spiral, and it is just one of those things where you have to get out of your own head. But unfortunately, I get stuck in that loop so much. And so it also affects the videos that I do. I've got footage, raw footage, and even half edited footage from videos I started 2 years ago and a year ago. I've got bloody video on this dragon that was all about, building yourself up to a bigger project, because if you're not used to painting larger things. And yeah, sure, there was the move and everything, but I just used that as an excuse to not edit the video, because then it would be done. It's a tough thing to combat, and it is an even tougher thing to talk about, because it's a self-defeating thing. You want to be able to do stuff, but you don't allow yourself to do stuff. Or you do everything but what you're supposed to do. And it's very easy to just find distractions. So there is no real answer to it. You just gotta keep having a go at it, and then hopefully break through. And then once you get started, then you get that snowball effect. And then eventually that little bit of start with something small and then see where you end up, that actually ends up happening. It's just breaking through that, and only you can do it. So do have a supportive network around you, a nice supportive community around you. Share, even if it's the littlest bit of progress, share it with everyone on social media, with your friends, with people around you, to get some feedback, get some positive buzz, to sort of really help snowball that positive vibe effect in your brain. And then hopefully you can get yourself out of that perpetual procrastination death spiral that I just continuously find myself in. And it's the same with videos. If you got your own little community and you've been working on a video but you just found yourself stuck somewhere, ask someone about, look, I'm stuck here, what should I do about it? Is there something else I should do? Maybe even just step away from it, do another video, come back to it. Same with projects on the tabletop. And share little snippets as well, because if you can get some excitement going for it, then you'll put the pressure on yourself to actually get it done. So there you go, sage words of advice from a serial procrastinator caught in his own death spiral of logic. And I shall continue to not take my own advice. Let me know in the comments below if you are a sufferer of procrastinating as well, and or just like a lack of hobby mojo, a lack of inspiration or whatever. If you want to be in a community of supportive, awesome people, there'll be a link to the Discord in the description below, so go check that out, because there's some beautiful people there. Just like and subscribe as well for more videos that will eventually make it out. And thank you to these beautiful people for your continued support. Without you guys putting on that little bit of pressure, I wouldn't actually have a single video out. So thank you so much for making me do it. Big loves to you. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.